Hey, so today we're speaking with.
Sorry. Sorry, I made
There's
a
no
mess.
caramel everywhere. It's fine.
Made a mess.
But today we're speaking with Mire and Wisam from Wasla, and
It's cutting. Oh la la.
and also everyone with us as well. So welcome. But first, I want to just go through and describe what I'm wearing today. My name's Nisia Marsh. I'm one of the co-founders and co-directors of Feminist Culture House, and my pronoun is she and her. And today I'm wearing this kind of like multicolored long sleeve button-down shirt, some silver jewelry, and some black trousers, which you can't see. There's kind of like purpley, bluey, orangey shirt going on.
Welcome also on my behalf. My name is Orla Nottonen. My pronouns are they and them. I'm also one of the co-founders and co-directors of Feminist Culture House. I'm a white person with short, very much faded seafoam color hair and black rimmed glasses, and I have one gold earring on, and I'm wearing a white t-shirt with a denim shirt on top. Wisam, do you want to go next?
Hi everyone, my name is Wisam Al-Fadl. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a Black woman with, I don't know, denim colleague hoodie thingy with black trousers and white socks. Backgrounds, nothing, gray wall. And very nice to be here.
Thanks.
It's my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Mire Mrue, and I'm one of the co-founders of Islamia Queeristi, together with Wisam. And unfortunately, my screen is black. I would have wanted to portray the flag of Palestine, but unfortunately, I'm a technical dummy, so that's not going to happen. Yeah, I'm wearing a green shirt that says Medina and tie-dye orange trousers. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Thank you.
And I also want to let everyone know who's listening that Katie, who also works with Feminist Culture House, is here, and that she is working on the technical side, but she's in the background. Sometimes she also joins the conversation. Hi. So we're Feminist Culture House, and we're an intersectional feminist organisation based in Helsinki, Finland, and we work with and for underrepresented artists.
And we're having this conversation with Mire and Wisam as part of our exhibition, What's the Use of Intersectionality? That's currently happening at Stoa Culture Center and here online. We've commissioned some new artworks for Stoa, which you can see at the outside space there. There's some flags in the flagpoles and a backdrop and stuff in the window of Stoa, so it's worth visiting. But if you can't, you can see also images of the exhibition on our website and our Instagram account.
So first I'm going to have a quick introduction about Islamia Queeristi. So Wasla is an intersectional form of collaboration founded by two women with a Muslim background, Wisam and Mire. The collective's values and activities are based on anti-racism, intersectional feminism, and safer space policies. Wasla is the first collective in Finland to promote the visibility of the LGBTQI-inclusive interpretations of Islam, and whose activity is planned, implemented and led by queer, trans and non-binary Muslims or people with Muslim backgrounds. So Wasla is currently leading the project Islamia Queeristi, and then this means Islam in a queer way, and is funded by Kone Foundation. Their main goal is to increase knowledge of diverse and LGBTQI-inclusive interpretations of Islam in Finland, and they do so through art, photography and writing. I'm going to continue.
Well, you can continue from there.
You can just do it for 1 hour. I mean, sit here silently and listen to you talk. That's perfect. Thank you.
I'm going to continue. With its decolonising and queer point of view, the project challenges prevailing notions of Islam as a manifestation of a monolithic cis-hetero patriarchy and shines a light on the queer Islamic voices that have so long been silenced. Wasla Collective is also part of, is it
Burak
Association, whose goal is to support the welfare of LGBTQI Muslims or people of Muslim backgrounds and to better their position and visibility within Muslim communities in Finland.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds
so
lovely.
Yes, and these are the like very like hearing somebody talking this like this clearly is always like, oh yes, this is what we have to do all the time when we like introduce ourselves.
Yeah. You sound amazing.
Yeah.
Which
it's not only sounding amazing, it sounds like there are hard words to put in your mouth in the same time, in long sentences, and also to keep in mind that you actually want people to understand what you're saying.
Yes.
So you have to pronounce them clearly, slowly, so it goes there where you want to affect.
Definitely.
Before we could get into some questions and like really excited to hear you talk about your work, I'll just quickly say that as part of this exhibition, this work will be also documented by artist Dasha Che, and you can see their work later on our website and Instagram account.
Amazing, thank you.
But yeah, so happy to have you with us. It's been a long time with us, like really wanting to reach out to you and hear you, like listen to you talk about your work and just hear more about the work that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for taking the time to do this with us now.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting us.
And then our first question is, can you tell us a bit in your own words about Wasla and Islamia Queeristi and how Wasla and Islamia Queeristi working together and how does everything kind of connect?
Well, Mire.
Anna mennä vaan.
Wasla is like, just let's go to the meaning of the word.
Yes.
First of all,
yeah.
Wasla is a connector. It's a plug where you can put all the electricity, this jatkoroikka in very practical way, or is something like what actually brings two objects or subjects together, put in the same discussion or table and trying to negotiate some kind of a common ground. This is the word Wasla. And why we ended using this word is like also because Kone Foundation needs some kind of a collective term also to apply for the funding. So this is what we actually, we came up with, like this is how we work together. We have different identities. We have just for me living in a diaspora, I had always trying to apply different theories, different religious understandings, and try to find your way, my way actually, and trying to swim between. So this was an element which was easy also to apply on the funding. This is what Wasla word actually for me means. How about you, Mire?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember when we were thinking of the name together, and yeah, Wasla made sense mostly. And to me also, well, for those who don't know, Wasla also derives from the Arabic word wasala, which means to arrive. And for us, we could see it as arriving to a place where we, to a place that has been denied from us for a long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's about reclaiming a place and reclaiming a space.
Yeah, and it
has been denied. Yeah, a spiritual place, you would say.
Yeah, in this context, when it comes to Islamia Queeristi, now we are negotiating between finding a common ground between religious understanding, and also culture and this kind of a nationalistic understanding. So yeah, it's also trying to find an access to those places which has been denied, or also we've been negotiating about how to also decolonize those spaces, but occupy those spaces or creating new spaces. But yeah, this is what Wasla Collective is actually mentally and physically doing.
I think, you know, essentially it's a project that challenges the normative narratives about Islam and what it means to be Muslim, more than anything. Because according to these normative narratives, there's only one way to be Muslim, and that is the ultra-conservative, heteronormative, cis-heteronormative way. And
yeah, and I think like
just to continue, like for too long, like Islam has been defined either by like ultra-conservatives or Islamophobes, who are both, I would say, allergic to complexity and diversity. And me and Wisam, we want to fight against that in our own ways, so to say.
But it's not. I don't think like our. I don't know. The struggle on regarding our bodies or our identities is not only regarding Islam and how to be a good Muslim, but how to also be in a narration of what is queerness and who is queer and who is gay and who is not, because the norm of some kind of this international gay or this homo nationalism, which is the discussion is around whiteness as well and privileges. Sorry, it's also a narration we are not included. So we have two different narration of our identities or histories, or like being a racialized person in like two ways, in different, depending on, am I traveling to Sudan? If I bring my queerness there, and I'm a minority and might be in risk, but in the same time, I'm in risk here because of my Islam background, Muslim background, or my blackness. So yeah, these are few topics would probably we're gonna touch today.
Yeah, it's about like providing a platform for silenced voices on many platforms. You know, it's not, as you Wisam said, it's not just about being a Muslim, but also about being a queer person and how that queerness is understood, just as you said. Yeah, so it's a complex issue.
Yeah, and it's also, well, we're not only breaking the narrative about who's being a good Muslim or not, but it's also who is, how can I say, how these queer spaces, for example, are safe for those who have actually spiritual background, or in this case, like Muslim background, and how we can call in intersectional feminist practice like spaces also to look into the racism or the Islamophobia in the community, that community. So yeah, it's I think it's this work, what I'm doing, it's some kind of a trying to negotiate. It's no, I'm not even in the mood of negotiation anymore. Sorry, I will take that back.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's in a way trying to like, it's just like being a mirror for those who claim to be a good Muslim and those who claim to be a feminist. So me being here, like I can work on both fields without some kind of a hesitation. It's also, it seems that it makes people think a lot of their own norms and narrow views on certain stuff, which is really good.
Yeah, it's definitely about intersectionality in so many ways.
Yeah.
Can you still talk a little bit about Purak and how that
how
you relate to that? That's fine. There were kind of many questions in one question.
Yeah. Well, as Wasla, we got funded by Kone Foundation to make Islamia Queeristi, but Islamia Queeristi itself actually created with Hassan Hanini and me and Mire, this Burak. This is an association. Mire, correct me and fulfill all the information, which I probably, I don't know, forget.
Oh, you're doing perfectly, continue. Yeah.
But it's for Muslim with Muslim backgrounds, LGBTQ Muslims or Muslim backgrounds. This is what we actually use, because there are LGBTQ people with Muslim backgrounds. Some of them don't even sign in anymore or actually recognize the Muslim identity in them, and they choose not to be a Muslim anymore. And those are still Muslims. So it's for both identities. And the aim is like Burak aim is, it's a non-profit, anti-racist, feminist association, and trying to bring the visibility and improve people's well-being by different kind of activities in Finland. We're here in Helsinki actually right now, so most the people we know actually are in Helsinki, but we wish in the future this also will that in our association would be more known like outside the pääkaupunkiseutu. And this is the trouble actually, which actually troubles me. Most of the activist work actually works only in Helsinki, and I'm really worried, like, because as if there is no other Finland than in Helsinki. So it's also something which I'm worried about regarding Burak itself, because there are queer Muslim and queer Muslim with Muslim backgrounds, LGBT people with Muslim backgrounds, like to the north of Finland. And I just hope that they will find their way to collaborate with us as an individual, or if we would be glad to hear that. I would be glad to hear that there is already a queer Muslim association, which just we don't know about.
Yeah.
But yes, the goal is to support well-being and to also offer safer spaces for people to know each other and to break this normative thing that we are alone here and lonely, and and to just empower people.
And like now obviously like Corona affects my question, but generally is it something where you would gather and meet people and hang out and collectively do things, or how is Burak working?
We found the association was founded like 2019, so we're super young, and our first meetings was in this year, or at least I was attended to them because of Corona.
2020, at the end of 2020.
Yes, end of 2020. Sorry, this is how the Corona messes with us. We don't know any we don't know any years, and we're still in the understanding that nothing is actually going on. But yes, the goal is to not only meet people face to face, but also to give them spaces to organize stuff, to organize events, to bring out issues, to use the platform on whatever they want to, whether they want to do a research about them, about the community, or to collaborate widely with institutions. We would be supportive, and it's also because it is an association. As an association, we can apply on funding. So it gives opportunities. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Did you have anything to add to that, Mire?
Well, no, I think it was mentioned already, but like, Burak was born because it was needed. I mean, before that, we weren't officially represented, or we were, but by some others, like non-queer Muslims, non-LGBTQ Muslims. So we're talking about us. So this is, our try to make it official and become visible, and also more organized, because we have always been here nationally, nationwide, but we haven't been organized. And through organizing, through community building, the aim is to become like more strong and empower each other.
But also, like, how can I put this? It's also, the association is much more for a long term. The association is mikä se on, pitkäjänteinen.
Like long term?
Long term, yes. And because Islamia Queeristi is a project, is a 3 years project, so there is an ending for this as well. And every love story had an ending. So we just want to affirm that there is actually something which is Burak, which is going to stay for those who we are, because Islamia Queeristi is also giving information, but also it's a community organizing method. And after we have this community, the idea of me just like, sorry, bye, I'm leaving because the project money ended, it just doesn't fit to my ideological community organizer brain.
No, you will do it when you can fly away and when the borders are open, you will say. I know you.
That's not the topic today. But yeah, Burak is much more sustainable, let's put it this way.
Yeah. So maybe on this, it would be nice to hear about how you're like growing your community, how you're building the community and how you're finding each other with Islamia Queeristi. And I know also on some of our peer groups that we've had some people, especially when it's been online because of COVID, join from like Northern Finland. But before then it was very Helsinki focused. And also like how have you found trying to like break out of Helsinki and enlarge the community there?
Well, to be honest, we are not even there yet to try to think about, okay, what we can do abroad as like outside Helsinki. But like it's a mission definitely, but like till now people been finding us.
Okay.
Which is really great through social media, through people, through gatherings, what we've been having. And there is always somebody who brings a friend or talk about it to somebody else who just contacted us. But it's not only like queer Muslim finding us, it's also other kind of organizations finding us and trying to like collaborate in some way or another. One a good example is like different kind of, I've been just telling Mira that there is 2 days in these last few holidays, and I haven't read the email for a couple of days, and when I open, there is so much like people want to negotiate different kind of collaboration, and then actually we have to think like, hey, are we doing to educate white people or are we doing a communal work? So it's the energy which goes with doing collaborative working is important, but we really have to keep our energies and our boundaries clear, because if it's in the long run doesn't come back to the community, I'm really skeptical on even starting anything, to be honest. And yeah, sometimes you just have to be really rude, like, sorry, very interesting, but like if you don't pay us or just don't pay the community, sorry, no. Do you have something?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to comment that that's the power of representation and visibility in general. Like that's because before that we were here, but we weren't so visible. We weren't so organized, so to say, official quotations. So yeah, that has been the amazing part of visibility and representation, of course, so that people can actually find us, and it gives them hope and strength, and it inspires people, which we are very thankful of, and it inspires us too, you know.
Yeah, and like I think like the most important thing is like just sharing knowledge, not only for queer Muslim and with Muslim backgrounds, but like also to just share knowledge and share tools with people, and they can use that on their own interactions. And also just, and I would love to think in like not like that people won't anymore. Sorry, I'm just like trying to make a sense of like a clear sentence, which is like really hard.
Don't worry.
Trying to step from this kind of a minority box and just come to the mainstream. And I know that this kind of representation is, it's really, I don't know, the balance between being in the marginal and like coming on the mainstream and not being a trend in certain way. It's really tricky, but like by giving a good tool I think, and like stable ground, people can actually, they work really well, and everybody actually has been managing this far. So more tools and more words, especially in Finnish language, would actually, and just by to define themselves as a queer Muslim might help a lot.
Yeah.
I think like this whole thing of like people finding you and contacting you so much is such a clear example. Like it's just so clear to see how much it was needed, what you are doing, and yeah, like people being quite thirsty for it, which is great, obviously. But yeah, I think like definitely understand that it's gonna put you in these places where you have to decide when are you collaborating and when not.
No, it's part of the game too, and that's something we have to accept. So yeah.
But I have to say that it's also talking about this issue, of course, those people who approach us are already like-minded. This is the safer ground to grow in so many ways. But of course, I think me and Mire agree that we have this kind of Miina Harava, the game.
Miina Harava sanoit.
Miina Harava, oikein.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I don't know even what it is in English. It's like old computer game where you just you just pick a square and you just hope that there is no bomb on it.
Oh yeah, then yeah, the mind sweep, mind swap.
Yeah.
Sweep. Yeah.
That's an Arab reference. Yeah.
But like, you know, doing the activist work with the queer-minded people or like somehow like-minded people is it's also for me very easy because living in a white society, actually I have those tools from my own background, how to manage to work on these different areas. But like the activist work, if I can call it, in the community, which is conservative, I don't have any tools there. So we are also practicing how to even go and I don't know whether we are going even to the spaces, but like we haven't had any kind of interaction or collaborative suggestions from Muslim communities till now, and not in a national level, not in a regional level, not in even individual level. Those who I haven't actually talked about this project with none of those people, which is really weird because I swear, I know they know, but they haven't. I know they know, but they never brought up the discussion, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But the activism between those fields is interesting because, of course, you have, in a certain way, I want to think that I'm doing also in internal work at the same time, but I'm doing outside of trying to make a safer space for me as an individual, but also communal work.
Yeah.
We had this question about like how intersectionality guides your work, and I remember when we just briefly spoke with you earlier about the exhibition name, and I liked it when you were like, well, what else is there but intersectional ways of working? But we just would still love to hear about like how intersectionality and feminism guide your work at the moment.
Mire, go ahead. I have talked so much.
Yeah, no. It's just, yeah, I really thought about that question because intersectionality for me is it's the starting point. It's the evidence starting point. As you said, Orlan, I mean, there's nothing else than that. And for example, if we come together as a community, it is already like super intersectional. So I mean, there's no way around it. And I don't like yeah, it's, I don't know, Wisam, you can add if you want, but I honestly like, it's such an evident thing for me. It's just like, yeah, I don't know, honestly. I will add to that in a bit, but I need to think about it.
Yeah.
For me, I think like it's just going from individual way of individual centered working to communal oriented way of being people, good human, and just thinking about like communal oriented or like organization, whether it's like a good community or anything. It's just it doesn't work if you think about yourself. It never worked. It never worked. And those who actually managed to do that, they are called dictators. So I don't think that's our goal in our life, or in not, at least it's not in my life. And I don't think anyone who will like sign in understanding intersectionality, or use the whole analysis and that tool, there is no space for individual selfishness and ego. I don't think that it works that way. It never worked that way, and it doesn't work in minor communities such as family. If there is one person who's dictating the whole thing, I don't think there is happiness and love, and that's the purpose of the whole being, or at least to live a happy life. I don't think there is no other way than it being intersectional.
Right. Yeah. When I think about intersectionality, I would say that for me at least, it is essentially about like sensitivity and empathy and understanding our complexities, and embracing diversity. And more than anything, taking that like complexity and diversity into consideration always in everything that you do. It's that lens that is kind of like it's an inherent part of you. Like you cannot, it's the way you look at the world. But yeah, it's sensitivity and empathy first always. And as Wisam said, it's community centered,
Yeah. And I think like it's just like everybody, like in an individual, I'm just thinking about the individual way of like being. It's like knowing your privileges doesn't have to be that you have to be white to do that kind of privileged whiteness work. It's also, we are inherited, especially us Black people. We have so white, not internalized racism and colonialism, and like all these fuckeries are already there. So actually the very good examples are the discussion with my mom, when actually it's really sad to say how much that she's been what is the word? Internalizing. Yes, these like old colonial systems from Sudan, and now coming to a white society, there is these other things, which is actually she's been internalized, and like also to how can I say, to somehow I have so much thoughts, but like also there is the whole idea about there is parents in diaspora who've been carrying this luggage with them to this other continent, and also at the same time like internalizing these kind of really weird twisted thoughts. And now our generation are the ones who actually have to reborn themselves again from that, not anymore from the uterus, but like from this white system. And trying to see outside those systems is really hard, because the same topics, what I was just telling my friend that it's so weird, like you have the same struggle at home, but in a white surroundings. I have to deal with all this homophobia and transphobia and colorism at home, but also, which is really, really twisted, because there you have different kind of tools to negotiate with your parents or with your siblings. And then we have this academic field where actually do the same work, but there is different words and different tools. And this is also certain kind of intersectionality, which I had to deal with. It's not only here in this society in Finland or in Helsinki, but it's also the intersectionality has to be, at least in my life, it goes also like to my mom's home. I have to bring it there, and also to bring the topics there and widen the perspective there.
Yeah,
I think it's a very important point what Wisam mentioned about the introspection. So I think our intersectional work has a lot to do with self-work and yes, community work, but also self-work and introspection. And it has a lot to do with unlearning and unreading like the corrupted knowledges that we have been taught and that we have internalized.
Yeah. I definitely
It's very
agree.
abstract. I mean, I know that of course, like intersectionality, it's a great concept, but it's also very abstract, at the same time.
Yeah.
And I start to think about it, like how does it guide my work really to define it simply and clearly? It's a challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that.
But I think it's like to put it in other words, Mire, do you remember the discussion we have about resurrection?
Yeah.
I think it's really similar with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When it comes to Islam and like monolithic or religious discussion, there is always this kind of resurrection discussion, and we will be born again. We will be, I don't know, the judgment day and la la la. But we do that, at least I do that as a queer Muslim. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's not only waiting for the judgment day, on the judgment day when you have a judgment day on your backyard. So this kind of discussion. So I will just read from the list here. I don't know how to share this, but in the whole discussion, what we have about resurrection is also, there is, how many are they? 6.
Oh, you're reading the levels?
Yeah, the levels of different kind of levels, what you have to go through.
Yeah.
To get that resurrection, like individually and spiritually, like probably on that sense. But I think if you go through those levels, it makes you, and then you come very close to understanding intersectionality.
Mm-hmm.
But the levels are realization and recognition and relearning and resignation, rewriting, recovery, and recreation. And those are those 8 levels, what we actually, if we want to achieve, like every single one of us, this kind of resignation of leaving this toxic Eurocentric these kind of levels behind us and trying to recreate some safer space, like internal safer space, but also for the community work.
Mm-hmm.
And provide healing knowledge too.
Yeah. But I think in the process you have to find.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think it was also interesting what you said, Wisam, about the generation. And like for me, my grandparents moved to England in the 50s, like the Windrush generation. So then now you can see like all the younger family members, how this affects them in different ways, and how every time there's like new generation, there's different points that need to be tackled or within society on this kind of discussions. And how before then it's like you're trying to educate the family, but then you're trying to also educate society, and then the society changes with each generation.
Yeah. And I think like the most hard thing is like because the concept is like the norm of queerness, and the norm of it doesn't include the spiritual level of it. So if we it just like either you're Muslim or either you're gay or queer, and those both field doesn't actually, they don't sign in and they don't support each other. Even in the Finnish society, they're both the minorities. So and I don't do these pick and choose battles, and I don't want to sign in any kind of competition where trying to point out other people's faults when you are like you yourself are in a minority or in the marginal.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you a question to go back to your work a little bit, even though like if you want to still talk about intersectionality, that it's so wonderful to listen. You had like really beautiful analysis of how you're thinking about it. But because you said like Islamia Queeristi is a 3-year project, and you're like halfway through it now, in some kind of area of the middle, and we wanted to like just ask you about where you're headed with the project, and also because of Corona, maybe there's stuff that you wanted to do but haven't been able to do and have had to like shift ahead. Yeah, if you want to talk about where you're at with Islamia Queeristi.
Well, I can go. We have our website with Mire being created. For example, there is an open library resource about queer Muslims, about queerness, and this is probably a thing what we actually should mention now. This Islamia Queeristi, it's not only we're dealing with Islam and the queer discussion, it's queering, it's like in a larger perspective. So there is articles about Blackness in Islam and in Arab world, and discussion about feminism, Islamic feminism, different poetry, different poets. We've been collecting those from open resource materials because we noticed that the Finnish library has a very limited perspective about books and like written materials about Islam. It's really religious and conservatively religious materials. There is no feminist perspective on it. Yeah, and there is very good the open library resource, but it's also there is interviews and pictures, which is like also Mire's artwork. But in the future, and which is actually what we've been asking and collecting and trying to find artists whose work and text can be shared in the website as well. But also our action plan includes some kind of also to create this safer space for queer Muslim, where not only physical but also virtual safer spaces to discuss and to also share art, text, whatever they want to come up with. And we are recording this summer our podcast, which should be probably, I don't know when ready, but like next month we start with the recording. And yeah, our podcast, Mire.
Yes, Wisam, yes.
Do you want to tell more about our podcast so that you will have also?
Okay.
Yeah.
Our podcast. Well, should I say the name?
Oh yeah, that's
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's called Kiihottunut Muslimi. Yeah, that's the name. And yeah, I mean, we already recorded two episodes, but then due to Corona, we want to do it again and in better settings as well. We will be inviting some guests, and among other things, we will be discussing, so to say, Islamic feminism, queerness, art, queer art. What else?
family relationship.
Yeah, family relations. Yes, absolutely.
Family. Yeah, and the mosque discussion.
Yeah, and the mosque. Yeah, this is something that we've been discussing a lot. You know, what is a mosque and what it could be and what it means for us, and yeah, what it is, what it hasn't been, what it should be, what it could be, all that. So yeah, yeah, that's coming, and we will start recording it again this summer. Yeah, and it will come out in the fall at one point.
Yeah. But also we promised Kone Foundation that we will actually offer some kind of consultation and educational tools for those institutes who actually work with queer Muslims. So there is actually.
So that is a publication. Yeah. Sorry.
Mitä?
Anteeksi, mä sanon, yeah, that's a publication, right?
Yes, that's the publication, and that we will have some kind of a training or some kind of a, like, for example, this is some kind of discussion, which can be also a training or some kind of a tool if somebody wants to understand what is our perspective and what are the issues, what related to queer inclusive Islam, and whether the person is a journalist or official or professional or educator or whoever. Because in my own perspective and in our own, like this, in our action plan is like this queer Islam, it doesn't have to always come when it comes to Islamic or Muslim community. it's a discussion about, it's a sexual politics, and it should be in the university, it should be on the healthcare center, it should be implied when we work with youth, with kids, not only on the classroom. So it's much more wider, and especially now if our government is somehow applying intersectional feminism on the school curriculum, this should be included. So it's also one point of view what every educator should take consideration whenever they teach about Black bodies in art, or about music, or about some kind in whatever Orientalism in art or whatever. So these things should be there. They should say the name queer Muslim in the right way, not only saying like, oh, we have these paintings, and like ignoring the identities there. Yeah, and these kind of topics, sexuality or gender topics, should be taken in consideration in religious studies with kids. It's not only building a religious mind, it's also an identity they should like take seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the religious education in Finland is still ruled and designed by the conservative actors largely. So when it comes to Islam, at least, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have started to collaborate with THL in order to create this kind of safer space guidelines for the social field in general. But yeah, it's in process.
Yeah. But I think it's like I don't know, is it the Finnish healthcare institution or mikä on THL?
Yeah.
Which actually is a white institution, but of course it's always like that you have to find a good ally in a white institution to work with. So there is a brown person and a queer person in the white institution who came with the idea that we can collaborate, which is good for us, because then we can speak with the same terms and talk about the safer spaces and how to hijack the institution from inside. But it's a really I'm glad that like individuals find their way to work with us, and we also find as we spoke about in the beginning, that Wasla is trying to find this element of common ground, and it's working.
Yeah.
The right people, it's working.
That's so nice to hear. It's such an important thing to happen in Finland and anywhere. But it's so lovely to hear that it's like you're doing it, it's happening.
Yeah. And I like to know about because yesterday we had a conversation with the founder of Black Blossoms, and also talking about partnerships. And then she was like, yeah, I had to find the one person in the institution, the white institution, who would make this partnership happen.
Yeah, it is in a way, it always, if we have to think about the sad part of it, there is always one or two, but at least nowadays it's possible and people know each other. And yes, being a good ally, and actually I don't know, I think it's like the same, visually it's the same thing as you just like, there is this water effect, like if you do a good work and you're a good ally, actually the rumors get spread all over the community that there is this one person or two person who actually take the contact with him and don't do work with him, because there is, or you should know about the environment before you go, so you just not be the token person in the situation. And actually the information travels really fast, especially in like the good allies and good action. Actually, it actually have very long-term effect on the community.
Yeah. I think the final, is it the final question we have for you both? What are your plans, hopes, and dreams for the next 5 years?
Oh God. Came up with this question. God mercy. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mire. What's your action plan? I want to hear that too.
Well, I will start dealing drugs. Because after Kone Säätiö, I will be broke. So, I need to make a living. Maybe some arm deals. I don't know. I have connections given I'm Lebanese. Well, I mean, honestly, 5 years, it's a long time.
Yeah.
But one thing that I would say that I wish and I want that my future involves more art. So yes, I want to focus on my art more. Also, continue my studies, which are on a break. Yeah, so I'm a forever student, it seems. So yeah, those are my dreams. And yeah, more love, more healing, self-love, and other type of love. So yeah, that.
Nice.
Yeah. In my case, yes, love and all sort of love and healing and growth, spiritual and knowledge growth. But I've been actually, the last couple of months, I've been actually working around the topic of archives. And there are so good practices what people do and so good methods, so good tools. People are very constructive in their thinking. And thank you to social media and all these things, it's very easy to archive those kind of methods. But, and I want to somehow hijack the museum to archive like what's going on the feminist field.
With the help of my arms.
Huh?
With the help of the arms I'm dealing.
Mire, this is
recorded. Oh yes, I forgot. Sorry.
We are already a target. We are already a target in this community. So these kind of keywords should not be.
This is about providing a realistic picture of us. What the fuck? I'm doing it now. Sorry, darling. Sorry.
Yeah, but like doing this kind of it's not only like what kind of archive we could do or we could create as an individual working in the feminist field. And I'm not only talking about like artistic, like collecting art in a queer Muslim perspective, for example. No, but like really. Because I don't see any difference when you do art and being creative and actually trying to find a method to work in a society which is very diverse. I think it's really interesting. This kind of idea what I've been reading, but it's also it circles around the idea about the legacy what we are leaving behind for those who comes after us, because we always struggle with the fact that we always have to say that we are not here for the first time. We've always been here for blah, blah, blah. And I just, as I'm already, like, as I said, I'm not in the position of negotiating with people about my existence anymore. I don't want anybody else to do that, like in 100 years. So what we are actually living as a legacy, as an intersectional feminist movement or Black movement in Finland, this is something I want to somehow work with, whether it's in the museum field or whether in the art field, I don't know. But yeah, these legacy topic and archive topics are now my thing.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait. Can't wait for your artwork to go further and for this archive. It's like sounds so exciting. I mean, obviously, yeah, still waiting for your podcast and all the other things that you're gonna do before your funding.
Yeah.
So nice to hear about these other futures as well.
And maybe if people follow you on social media, they'll find out about the podcast and where to listen to and everything.
Yeah, actually, the interview I gave to Image, it was in January, but we never could publish anything about the podcast because there was no place to go and record because it was not allowed to even come together in a space, me, Mire, and the person who was responsible about the recording. So it delayed, but now we have another collaboration, which is great.
Yes.
And yeah,
Jakso Media.
yeah, that's gonna be.
Cool.
Mm.
We're running out of time. It's been amazing hearing you speak about your work. Thank you so much again. This was really lovely, and we hope that we will be talking with you in the near future. And really,
Please.
And thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.
And I think it's really important for people to understand the layers of intersectionality. And it's thank you.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Thank you for hosting us.
Are you just going to stop the recording, or should we just
we'll stop and then
wave and just disappear from the screen?
Wait for it. Let's say bye twice. Is that okay? Say bye to the listeners first, and then
Thank you.
Thank you everyone who's been
Bye
listening.
bye everyone, and thank you so much. Kiitos
Thank you everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.